No one knows how long the rig can survive the fire and stay afloat. Salvage expert James Waite is the first to get the call to put together an advance party. An experienced offshore firefighter, Waite has also been a sea captain for 17 years.
Well, the phone rang early in the morning, and basically the conversation went like this: Jim, how fast can you pack? Hit the road. We've got a rig on fire. Need you to respond and be at the airport as soon as you can. At the time when we were mobilized, we had no way of knowing how serious the fire was on board.
As Waite races to Houston Airport, information about what happened is coming in from the boats around the rig. Whatever caused the explosions is still unknown. The rig is still burning. But no one knows how many rig workers have escaped and how many are still missing.
Of course, when the word came out, not all were accounted for. In your mind, everything changes. Now your emphasis shifts from that of a simple firefighting evolution to a search and rescue operation supported by a firefighting evolution. And you start hoping that you can have some success with the search and rescue.
If the salvage team are to stabilize the rig, stop it from sinking and tow it to shore, putting the fire out has to be the first priority. That means using their own specialist firefighting equipment, all of which needs to be urgently transported out to the rig.
Any ETA on your trucks? Any info on that?
They will also need specialist equipment to be able to board the rig. So a total of 42 tons of equipment needs to be taken to the coast by road.
I got 3 trucks. Okay.
My first thoughts, again, are what do we have, what do we need, where can we get it, how fast can we get it there?
About 2 hours?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I was on the phone immediately and started looking for vessels. We started calling all of the boat companies.
Ray has located a boat to take the salvors out to sea at Port Fourchon in Louisiana, which serves 90% of the Mexican Gulf's deepwater platforms. The burning rig is then at least a further 10 hours by boat from Fourchon. As the convoy of 4 trucks heads out to the coast, it is already more than 10 hours after the explosion.
All right, good. The trucks are going to leave here somewhere at 3 or 4 o'clock, I think, so they should be down there just about midnight by the time you guys are ready.
In Fourchon, the second member of the Salvage Advance Party, Joost van den Driest, joins James Waite on the first boat out to the burning rig.
It's a very mixed feeling, you know. On the one hand, it's a major disaster. On the other hand, it's also a big job waiting for you.
The ships fighting the flames are oil-field vessels that were in the area when the rig first exploded, but they are still having little effect. Their hoses continue to try and cool parts of the rig so that anyone who might still be trapped on board has a better chance of surviving. On the shore, the fate of the workers still missing remains anyone's guess.
Just wait and see. Wait until we hear something. That's all we can do right now.
When them things blow up out there, you don't know who was alive and who was not.
Out at the rig, 10 hours after the explosion, those who have been found and rescued, but who do not need urgent hospital treatment, are still on board the boats that saved them.
And we sat there and pretty much watched the rig burn for 6 or 7 hours. The images just burned in my head. I'll never forget watching that. We all got in a big group on the boat of the deck. And, we figured out, we were missing 11 guys. And, we just kept praying that somebody would find them.
The Coast Guard step up their efforts. The helicopters are joined by a plane. All 5 aircraft fly continuous missions, making the most of every resource at their disposal to turn the frenzied search for survivors into a fully coordinated mission.
It's a horrible thing, but when something like this does happen, I feel like we're trained well enough to respond. We're creating search patterns based on conditions on scene out there. We have computer programs and stuff that help us analyze the currents, and we launch assets accordingly. Our goal is to save everybody. We just don't give up, just continue the search.
By now, the explosion is the headline story around the globe.
The company that owns the rig says there was no sign of trouble before the blast, and it's too soon to know what may have caused it.
The fact that this was such a massive explosion and it is still burning suggests that this was very fast. It was some kind of combustion of a mixture of natural gas and oil, quite possibly.
The shocking images of the burning rig mean the world can clearly see what the rescuers are up against, and viewers around the world wait for news of the missing men.
Tonight's breaking news, the frantic search for those 11 missing oil rig workers. Admiral Landry, do you have any sense whether there are any survivors here?
We don't want to give up hope that we might be able to find the 11 unaccounted for personnel, so we have an active search and rescue case going on throughout the night.
It's not over yet. It's not uncommon for us to find people after they've been in the water for a day or two.
Shortly after dark, the 4 trucks containing the emergency salvage equipment make it over the state line and are now in Louisiana. But the hardest part of the high-tech cargo's journey is still ahead. So in Port Fourchon, when the first of the trucks arrives, it needs to be unloaded in double-quick time.
Okay, you truck number 1. Okay, I'm Flash.
Which is where Steve Boudreau comes in.
Everybody knows me all around the world as Flash Boudreau. That was going to come off? The 3-inch here is going to come off?
And they call him Flash for a reason, is he can outwork any 3 people that I've ever met, that's for sure.
Boudreau doesn't waste a moment getting everything from the trailers onto the boat.
Who's all this stuff? It's technical stuff, I can't tell you. If I tell you, I gotta kill you. Coffee time!
But although he quickly has the rescue gear loaded into the boat can't set sail until the truck with the firefighting gear arrives. Meanwhile, the advance party salvage team are 8 hours into their boat trip and are getting their first view of the deepwater horizon.
You could see the fire for hours before we even got on scene. It was that intense. You could see the fire billowing into the air over the horizon.
It's a horrendous, terrific fire. I mean, it's unlike anything you've ever seen.
Suckers in the water on one side.
So you see a huge structure. It's about a football pitch that big, and the flames are about, I think, about 200 feet up in the air. So it's huge.
Both Joost and James are now realizing that it's unlikely that anyone else survived the initial blast.
Emotionally, what's going through your head, it's kind of hard to explain, but there's a real connection amongst people that go to sea. And when you know that there are souls that are left unaccounted for, you can't help but feel it. And it impacts how you fight the fire.
How to extinguish the fire is still the burning question for all the rescue workers. Despite continuing efforts, the flames are showing no signs of relenting. As the world watches every moment of their progress, the fire on the rig is being fueled by oil flowing up the riser pipe from the seabed.
It began with a powerful explosion less than 24 hours ago. A column of flames shooting into the night sky over the Gulf of Mexico. At last word, the oil rig still was burning and could topple into the water at any moment.
The source of that fire is predominantly coming from the wellhead itself. It's crude oil that is leaching from this wellhead. And as long as that crude is leaching, we're going to continue to see that fire.
Shutting down the source of the fuel means working up to a mile below the ocean surface.
And what we're doing now is they've got a remotely operated vehicle, a subsurface vehicle, that can work to secure that source, to plug that wellhead, if you will.
ROVs are remotely operated underwater robots. They're being used to try to close the blowout preventer, a vital safety valve on the ocean floor, which should have cut off the flow of oil when things started to go wrong. For some reason, it failed. The constant flow of oil means there is no way the salvage team can reduce the flames enough for them to board the rig and put the fire out.
From our perspective, the only way that this fire